Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new build series, and today we're going to start working on this guy, which is the beautiful Academy 35th scale Viper, the AH-1Z. Hey guys, welcome back. Part number one of a brand new build series, and I'm really excited about this one. Never built a helicopter before, so it's going to be a first time for me, so hopefully don't screw it up too much. So, no introductions, I mentioned it already. We're going to do this beautiful kit, which is the Academy's 35th scale Marine Corps AH-1Z Viper helicopter. Now, I've done a review of this one, you can check it out on my channel. It looks a pretty simple, straightforward kit. Probably jinxed it, but I mean, out of the box, looks pretty nice. Slide molding, beautiful. This is about 2019 kit, so it's a modern day kit and looks really nice. The problem with helicopters before is the rotor blades. They're always so big and it's kind of hard to display, especially on this kind of 35th scale. So what I've got is a couple of extras we're going to throw on this build. First is the wing fold set from Legend. Now, when I first opened the box and looked at this, I was like, well, it's like a Scottish flag. It's like blue and white cross, but that's actually the wing fold. So this is a good, well, almost essential for me, because it means you can put it on the shelf. So you have the giant like rotor blades. This allows you to fold the fold the rotor blades back and store it and display it a little bit easier. So they do a couple of sets. They do this one, which is just a basic kind of just mechanism, basically to allow you to fold it. This was really cheap. It's like $12, which I think is well worth it. And this is a cheap kit as well. This kit's like a $45 kit. So yeah, so it's like a cheap upgrade. You do this one, or you can spend like $35 and get one with like a whole kind of like bracing and kind of frame to hold the basic kind of storage, kind of to hold the rotors back. That looked a little bit kind of too much for me, what I wanted. So just went with a basic one. So we'll take a look at this in a minute. So that is the LF1367 Legend Productions AH-1Z blade fold set. Now the second thing, why I got that, I figured let's try a little bit extra too. So something I don't do often, but I'm always afraid of kind of screwing things up, but hopefully we do well with this one. So the second one is the avionics and ammo base set, again from Legend. This one is LF1368. Again, this wasn't very expensive at all, but what this does is adds a little bit extra kind of detail to it. So both sides at the front there will have the bays open, and one side's going to be the avionics and one side's going to be ammo, which is going to look really cool. So those two, and then one other thing which I haven't received yet. I ordered it, it's in the mail coming to me. By the time we get there, I'll have it. But the one disappointing thing about this kit is the cockpit. It's a very kind of open with a glass and nice seats, but for whatever reason there's no seat belts, no decals, no like nothing. So did a little bit of a look around and struggled. You could find resin figures for this set by Def Model with harnesses, like pilot figures, which look kind of cool, but they're like $35 for two figures at 35th scale. So I was like, way too much. That's the same price of the kit. The only other option I found was Edward do a PE seatbelt set, which I ordered. That's coming, and when we get to it, we'll use that as well. It seemed like the only real option to go for. It wasn't that expensive. I'm not a big fan of PE seatbelts, but it is what it is. I wish I did go on like HCW and try to find some kind of like fabric or some kind of fabric kind of seat belts for this, but there's nothing kind of modern in 35th or 32nd scale I could find, to be honest with you. I looked even like making my own, that kind of thing, but in the end I just kind of went back, you know, the Edward photo etchon should be fine. So I went that route just to kind of update the cockpit a little bit. So pretty much out of the box, but again, we've got these three things to think about. So as usual, we'll go through the process. I'm going to weather this up, of course. Some car going down the freeway or something behind me, I don't know what that noise was, but so we're going to rev this up as always. And if you see my Hornet, the Mang FA-18E Super Hornet build, we're going to think of that's kind of weathering level we can go to on this. So we're going to create paint discoloration, paint some different panel colors, really kind of weather it down, add some oils and various other things and washes to kind of get this kind of grimy and dirty, just how I like it. Who knows, I might even do a little base, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So that's kind of the project ahead of us. So I know we normally, when we do aircraft, we start with the cockpit, but this time, I'm going to start with something a little different. We're going to start with the Resin avionics bay and the ammo set. What I want to do is first, before I commit to cutting anything, I want to make sure, firstly, that it fits okay. There's no major surgery required. The cockpit's still going to fit in, all that kind of stuff. We'll do a lot of dry fitting, and then we'll commit to actually cutting the the areas out of the plastic, which hopefully should be okay because it looks like on the plastic at the bottom just a rectangle shape, so it should be okay to cut. So we'll go through all that first. So this part we'll talk about getting those cuts made for the avionics bay and dry fitting and stuff, and then we'll just take it from there. So enough waffling, let's go ahead and get started with this. Okay, let's get started. So working with this guy, the avionics bay. Now, as always with resin, the instructions aren't great, but they're better than some. So, what do you get inside the box? So you get basically, you get an avionics bay, you get a resin ammo bay, and you get, I'm going to take these out because I'm going to lose them, a couple of little parts there, like, I don't know what they are, like hinges or something, and a couple of doors, panel doors. So you get that, plus you get a nice photo etch, which I think kind of builds a frame around the avionics bay. And some instructions. So these are better than some, but still a little confusing. So these are your parts. Here it says this is a. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to cut each side of the fuselage, and you're going to put the bays in. And it looks like it's sandwiched between the 4 pieces of photo etch. You've got the 5 on the bottom, 6 on the top, and then you got the 1 and 2 at the sides. Now the other thing is, I'm looking at the picture. It looks like it has plastic card around it. Which I do have some plastic card, but I mean, it doesn't show anything in the instructions, so I'm not quite sure what that deal of that one is. But back here, then, I mean, we'll concentrate obviously getting the doors in. Get the bays in first, and then down the road, this is all very fiddly. So this is probably going to happen after the aircraft's built and painted, probably, and whatever. At the very end, we'll put the doors on with the hinges and the photo etch brackets and stuff for that side. But it's a little bit ambiguous instructions. So what I did was I got 3 pieces in question. So I cut off, this is piece 11, which is the bottom, and the 2 front sides. Really good fit, they just actually click together. So this kind of goes in like that. So what basically happens is this panel right here we need to cut out for the avionics bay. So that goes kind of like that. And then this guy goes on like that. So the nice part is, because this is a separate part, we only have 3 cut lines to do. So we're basically just going to cut up there, across, and this whole panel, and then on the other side, the same panel at the front. This one panel gets cut out, which is just a straightforward cut, hopefully. Now the key with this is to cut a couple of mils inside the line and then sand it back. That's what I've learned. If you try to cut on the line, it eventually kind of goes wrong, and you've got no wiggle room. So it's always best to cut a little bit inside with a razor saw, and then we can just sand back to the line to make it perfect. So those 2 need to be cut out. What I can do is my Sharpie right here, I'm just going to mark real quick where I'm going to cut. So that guy, and that guy right there. So that's marking where we're going to cut. On this side right here, get these out of the way. The instructions, the first part right there, it says cut off, sand, trim there for part number 1. So I did that already. So I got simply with a rough coarse sanding stick and just sanded, took up really thin plastic. So hopefully that's enough to fit the avionics in. So I'm not sure what it says there. It says 0.2mm PLA-plate. So I'm not entirely sure what that is referring to. Because that fits in like, let's see again, fits like that. So I mean, is that just those parts right there? I'm not quite sure what that means, but we need to do some digging on that one. But I've got a little bit of work ahead of me. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to take, these are casting blocks right here, which interfere with the fit. So these are just where it's resin casting. So that part and that part needs to be cut off. Now, we'll cut those 2 pieces off, and then we'll cut out the plastic for the actual panel. So I'm going to do that off camera because I don't want to screw it up. I get one shot of this. If I screw it up, I got buy a whole new kit. So I'm going to do that. These guys are super easy. I'll show you what I use. I use these Zona saws.
great for cutting off casting blocks. These are a little bit too aggressive for cutting into the to plastic. I want a little bit more control. So what I'll probably use is a smaller kind of razor saw. What I'd probably do is I'd drill holes around inside of each, and then just come by and just cut it with this guy for the plastic. You can use this for the resin too, but I like to use something a little bit more heavy duty, so I'll use one of these guys and simply just cut off the back, which we don't need. It's just casting block, like that. Health and safety, as I always say, if you're new to this with resin is kind of toxic. Not as bad as it used to be, but it's getting the small fibers on your lungs is a problem. It's kind of like asbestos and like lung cancer back in the day. Like, it was very prominent in the 80s, 90s. So definitely wear a mask. I wear a face mask. We're dealing with this, so cut it off. Always have a bit of paper down below it too, like a wet paper towel, so it catches the dust, and you can kind of wet sand it or cut it. So you can cut it off. And once that's done, we can get rid of all the dust immediately, wipe it away, clear all the tools, and then get it out of the way, because you don't want that stuff floating around. Now, this is only tiny little pieces, so it's not such a big deal, but if you're using big aircraft, resin aircraft and stuff, it's obviously more prominent. But again, just keep health and safety wise, just keep that dust off, and mask when you're sanding and cutting this stuff, because it can be a little bit nasty. With the plastic, obviously, it's no problem at all, it's just plastic, so just use a razor saw as normal. Cool, so I think we've got a game plan. So let me go ahead and start these few cuts, and wish me luck, hopefully don't screw this up. So let me cut these parts out and we'll come right back. Okay, so making good progress with this. So firstly, cut the casting blocks off the two pieces. I give them a little bit of wash, feeding resin, quick soapy water, just to air dry them. You don't have to go crazy with sanding the back down, because actually looked at it, there's a little wiggle room. So once these are in, there's actually, you've got probably about half a centimeter or so gap in between. Once they fit in here. So yeah, so that's really cool, no problem with those. See, I put some photo etch in, so the bottom piece goes down, which is, I can't remember which piece is the bottom. Well, number 5 goes in the bottom, and it has the arrow pointing forward. Then the back here, this piece goes there, and that piece goes there. So this is piece 2 at the back, and it has R for rear, and it has F on the back for front. So you don't really have to sand that much off this front piece. You can see, look, you got a bit of wiggle room, so just tight, maybe a middle too, you have to sand off this. Put that in, no problem at all. This picture right here, I figured out, so this P2 is the back plate, and it's just saying that the big hole should be on this side and a small hole on that side. So as the aircraft's facing forward, port side would be the little hole, and the bigger hole's on the starboard side. So no problem at all. So I just basically glued the back piece in first, a little bit of super glue against the plastic. Then I glued this on the bottom, just a little bit of glue around each side, and then finally glued this guy on. There's a little bit, maybe a ½ mil gap. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that is panel is lined up with the. Let me show you guys here. So this bit right here, the lip, the plastic, you want to make sure that panel's kind of lined up with that, so there's going to be no gap when you put the fuselage together. So that's coming on really nicely, and most importantly, I've cut this one out, no problem at all. So basically what's going to happen is I don't want to damage anything right now, but basically it sits like that, the hole, and that side's going to have this guy in. So it's going to look something like that, kind of. So this side I didn't do, so I cut it out. So I didn't use a razor saw in the end. What I found the easiest thing to do was actually a simple ruler and an X-Acto knife. This has an alpha blade, which is one of the sharper ones. So what I did was I just put my ruler down and just went about 4 or 5 times, did the sides, and then pulled it out. As I mentioned, you can see this, hopefully you see this, the line, see that the actual panel line is right there. So I went a couple of mils inside that, like I mentioned, because then I can just sand it back. So I like to go inside. I learned that the hard way, damaging many kits back in the day. So nice and gently, just, with cutting and stuff, just take your time, and then sanding, take your time too. Again, I just sand it back to the panel lines with this one. So what I basically do is I'm going to start with a white coarse sander, then I'm just going to kind of evenly all over, just sand the main bulk of it down. And when I'm kind of getting close to the line, I then come back in with a finer sander, and then finally a sponge just to kind of sand it up, clean it all up. So working your different grits. So because you're moving quite a lot of plastic, you want to move a mil or two. Again, I use a rough sander. Just a little bit of time. I keep checking. And taking your time really with this. Just again, keep checking those pound lines until you get to where you want it. Like with this one. It's not 100% perfect, but I think it's good enough. And then I'm right on the panel line and good to go. So that's that. So let me now talk about that. Let me go ahead and get this finished off this side, and then we can get the avionics bays in the right way round. So this one's going to go like that. I think, look at the picture, it looks like it maybe has like a mill, kind of sits back maybe like a mil or two from the edge. So that one's going to get super glued in like that. Then this one's going to go like that, and you see the gap in the middle, which is cool. And then the panel goes on top, and then we'll just sandwich it up, but also we've got to build a cockpit and everything else first before we can put it all together. But we might be able to put one side on maybe. And then, yeah, cool. So again, enough waffling, let me go ahead and get this one sanded down, and then we can move on to the rest of the build. Okay, quick update. I'm just holding this together. This side is pretty much perfect. Really happy with that one. Once obviously it's not glued, this is just kind of held in place. But obviously once this is all glued together, the cockpit and stuff, this top bit will just get kind of super glued to the top to get rid of the gap. So zero gap there. That one looks really good. Happy with that one. This one here has a little bit of a gap. Not sure why, because again I cut on the panel line, but you just see along here. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do there. I want to get the cockpit and stuff first, but then I'm thinking I can probably actually push my fingers. I can probably just super glue that up and get rid of the gap too once it's all together as well. So yeah, kind of happy how that turned out. I mean, there's a lot of trepidation with cutting these kits and stuff together, but when they do kind of work out, it's very satisfying, I must say. So yeah, and then also the door is going to be hanging down from the bottom. So where we're at here, so I'm gonna take this apart a little bit now without breaking it. So yeah, just want to give that kind of update. Again, it's not glue, it's kind of just click together, and then you can kind of see again the two bits of resin with sandwich between like the four kind of the cabinet. You kind of make the cabinet with the photo etch pieces, and there you go. Cool. So that is as far as I want to go with this right now. So I think I'm going to end this video, because next week let's work on the cockpit. So once we get the cockpit, we can actually get this done and put in, and then we can actually sandwich all this stuff together and get this glued in properly and stuff. So that's a pretty good stopping point. So again, this one's more about the kind of the resin and cutting bits out and stuff. So hopefully you found that one useful, and have a good week, and I'll catch you next Friday. So have a good one. Bye bye.